All right, I'm back after my video stopped working unexpectedly, and then I tried again to record and I sewed this wrong. So now I seam ripped it and we're gonna do this again. So by now you should have bias tape and your pattern cut out. And my fabric happens to be the kind where it needs 3 layers to not see light through. You don't see my sewing machine light, do ya? But here's just 2 layers. And check it out. You can see it, right? Ooh, okay, yeah. Yep, see it? You see my sewing machine light, don't you? Yeah, that's Corona coming through. Okay, just kidding, guys. We're not gonna joke about Corona. This is serious. Okay, so take your 2 layers apart. I'm splitting mine up into 2, even though I have 3. So, and I'm just gonna act as though these are one piece of fabric. So that's how I'm doing it. If I have 3, you can do that too. And you need to sew, next thing we're gonna do is sew in some darts. So there's one, oopsie, at the top and one at the bottom. The top part of this pattern piece is the one that's more pointy. It's pointed up right now, and that's where the nose goes. So that's the nose part. You'll fold your piece of fabric in half, and you're going to sew that dart onto this one and this one. Every layer needs its dart. I've done this so many times. You can hold this up and kind of pin or mark or whatever where this really needs to go. I've done this so many times, guys, that I know by heart. And here's the next one. I'm just gonna do them right after another. And then same thing with the dart at the chin. Here's that. There's that. Okay, down to the bottom. The chin dart. Get that all matched up. Make your line or whatever at the bottom and sew that dart at the bottom. I do a little forward backward at the beginning and the end. I have a reverse button. I'm keeping my hand on the reverse button to push that at the beginning and end of every seam. So there's that. Snip all your threads. And I'm trying to make this tutorial as close to what as close to the experience that all of you are gonna be doing at home to make these. So I'm not using my serger, even though that's how I've made every single other mask that I've made. I'm snipping these so that there's no extra fabric kind of bulking up that area after we're putting it together. See, when I use my serger, it chops it out for me. But this is how we will do it. Okay, now you're gonna line these up, lay them in a pile with wrong sides together. So the way the mask is gonna look on the person is how you wanna lay it out. I have the longer dart on the top, which is the nose part. I'm gonna lay that down. There we go. Here's my other layer, and here's my nose dart I'm gonna lay down the wrong side, touching the wrong side, and now you have a pile of face mask. Okay, what we're gonna do next is sew darts in the side. There are notches on your pattern where 3 darts can be, and how much of a chunk of fabric to gather up in that area. So you can use those to kind of pinch this much fabric and fold it over. Same here and same here. Use your pattern piece to help guide you. I like to get everything super in line and just make the darts as I go. It's much faster. So it depends on how much control you want here. Like if you want to use the pattern to do exactly what it says, or if you think you have a good idea of what it needs to look like and what how the darts are gonna lay, then you can just sew it. Another thing you can do to help make this go as smooth as possible is a basting stitch. I think it does say in the pattern directions to baste the top and the bottom stack together. A basting stitch is a really long length of stitch. You probably have a length stitch dial on your machine, and you turn it all the way up. Mine goes to 4, so I would turn it all the way up to 4, and you don't have to reverse at the beginning and end. You just sew across that, and then your stack will be like stay together as you're doing all these steps, and you don't have to worry about trying to line up every layer and make sure they're all like within your seam before going. So that might cut some time off if you're just kind of rusty and not used to, maybe you haven't sewn in a while. So that's a tip, pro tip. Okay, whoopsie, my thread came out, y'all, so I'm gonna rethread this. I must not have had a long enough tail sticking out. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna put my darts in. So I did my forward, backward to start, and then I gather up three sections of fabric. Let me show you. Wonder if I can put the camera here somehow. I don't know. But anyway, that's what it looks like. And I sew over all that. Let me do this one more time. Okay. There it is. Okay. Forward, backward. Okay, that's one side. Okay, there's one side, and I started, let me try to explain this. I started with the nose part at the top, and I went to the bottom. Now, because of the way I kind of do this freestyle, I am just going to start at the top again instead of turning this around and having all my mask hang off the side and going from bottom to top. I'm going to go from top to bottom again so that my hands and like muscle memory can make the exact same gathers on this side. So whatever process to get three pleats. I'm calling these a lot of different names. Gathers, pleats, to whatever process you need to make 3 even plates on each side. Then do that. You may want to put a pin or a couple pins in every single one of those. That's actually what most people do, I'm sure. So here we go. Ta-da! Okay. Next thing, you're going to take your bias tape, and there's like a 2-step process of how to attach bias tape, but I'm gonna do this a more simple way, and we're gonna use a zigzag stitch. So here we go. That's what your zigzag stitch looks like probably. And you also need to set your width to, I'm gonna put mine all the way up. Your stitch length should stay the same. And you should have a foot on, your presser foot should have a little wide window right here so that your needle has space to move back and forth and zigzag. The reason why we do a zigzag stitch is because when attaching bias tape, the most pretty way, the best way to do it is to like unfold this, sew on one side, and then wrap it around, and then sew on the other side so that it looks like you have one nice, neat, tiny little stitch really close to the edge. Now, we're cutting out a step. We're just gonna sew down this one time, and we're not gonna attempt to do a nice, tiny little neat stitch close to the edge because you might not catch it on the back. Like, if these two are wrapped around like not even, then you're not gonna catch the edge of it on both sides, if that makes sense. Hopefully this is all making sense. Again, join the Zoom call on Saturday and we will work it all out. So, in case the edge of your mask, we're gonna do the edges first. We're gonna put bias tape here, across there, and we're gonna put bias tape on the other side. So I'm gonna just take the whole thing, start on the end. This is a great time to use pins. So I'm gonna start with this a little bit hanging off. Just a little bit hanging off. Dude, this pin sucks. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here we go. Make sure to get this like kind of deep in there. Don't have your bias tape like hanging on to the very edge. I also sewed my darts with a stitch that was super close to the edge so that my bias tape would cover it up. So there, I'm gonna sew that with my zigzag. Your zigzag stitch will grab 2 different areas of the bias tape. And you do want to stay close to the edge, but it's just going to do every other stitch over on the other side so that just in case you're not quite lined up, then you're going to get every piece of fabric inside that stitch that needs to be like held on to. So here we go. I'm gonna do forward, backward a little bit. Take my pin out. Line up the rest of this. You could line it all up with pins and not have to adjust as you go. I just adjust as I go. Okay, I'm to the end. I'm gonna snip off my threads and my extra bias tape all in one hack. Same thing to the other side. edges are on. Wow, it's all inside. Look at that. This is so great. Okay, now we're going to attach the straps. So we need a length of strap, and then we will seamlessly just keep on sewing on the bias tape as it's starting to encase the mask. And then we'll have another length of bias tape that we sew along, and it will be the other strap. Same thing on the bottom. And these straps, first you measure the length that's going to just hang off and be the strap part. I guess I should have shown you these masks with